This is Manor Lords, and today we're going to be testing it out on an RX 6600 GPU paired with a Ryzen 5 3600 and 16GB of DDR4 3200 MHz RAM. This is a small settlement that I just started with. I've already tried to play the game, and I went to another area. I conquered one area that was not my base. So yeah, I had two areas and the game was performing pretty good. So I wanted to make a test for you guys, just to give you guys an idea of how this game is going to run on your hardware if you've got a system like this. So let's head right into it. First, let's go into the settings here, and I'm using full screen 1080p mode, anti-aliasing or FSR, and everything is turned off. 3D resolution is at 100% and everything is towards the maximum, which this GPU is quite capable of running this game at a playable frame rate. As you can see right here, we're getting like close to 80 FPS most of the times. When I try to build more houses and stuff, let's just speed it up and let's make him build some stuff for us. Let's remove this guy from here so he can try to build the house faster. And as you guys can see, we're getting quite a bit of good performance, like 70 FPS. So while we're fully fast, doing everything fast, and while I zoom out and go to the other areas, the FPS drops to like only 60 FPS, which is pretty nice and pretty comfy if you guys want to play this game. Now what I'm gonna do is basically, this is just a test, so I'm gonna go ahead and run FSR on quality first. Let's try that, and let's see now what kind of decrease or increase we get. Okay, we get some increase in performance, but as you guys can see, it's still raining. Or is it raining or not? Yeah, it's not raining now, but it was raining and the rain was kind of a lot blurry. So I don't recommend you guys to use FSR in this game because already the performance is pretty good. And yeah, so yeah, when the game is kind of saving itself, the game actually stutters sometimes when it's saving. So that's not good, but still the developers have done pretty good, and they've given us great performance for this game. Okay, now let's just go ahead and build some more. I'm gonna try to build some more and I'll be right back with you guys. Alright guys, so I've tried to go ahead and increase our population a little bit. We are at 8 families right now, so it didn't have much of an impact on performance. So I think even if you increase the population to a lot, like 100, more than 100 people, which is like a small village or something like that, a large village close to a larger village, so you will still not get lower than, like, I would say 60 FPS most of the times on these settings, which is FSR on quality. Okay, so what is going to happen now is I'm going to try once more with turned off, and I'm going to see what's the maximum settings you can get. Okay, what the maximum FPS you can get on this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn off most of the stuff here. Let's go to low settings. Let's try to turn off and make everything to the lowest. Okay, let's go with the low settings at 100% resolution scaling at 1080p with no FSR or TSR or anything like that. Okay, now this is just for the guys who want to get the maximum performance possible on this setup. As you guys can see, still we're not CPU bound. So this game is, I would say, pretty nicely optimized by the developers, and there is a lot of headroom for the GPUs to perform better in this game. This game is still in early access, as they will try to add more stuff to this game. It's gonna get more intensive, and it's gonna still perform very good in my opinion, because there is a lot of headroom still, for at least on the CPU side. Okay, so yeah, as you guys can see, we've got some hitches, but now the FPS is quite stable at about 200. Okay, now let's try once at medium settings. I'm gonna increase the settings to medium. Alright, so this is medium settings now, and let's just let the game apply the settings for a little bit, which is struggling to do right now. As soon as the textures load up, yeah, so now I think it's stable. So still at medium settings, the game looks kind of good, at least better than low settings, but it's performing like at 120, 130. So if you've got a 144 Hz monitor and you guys want to have native experience, I would say that this is pretty playable and pretty consistent performance at on this GPU, on this CPU side of things. I can see that it's going at 40%, 47% right now, and it's not bothering the GPU even a little bit. The GPU is at like 100% GPU usage, which is pretty nice. Now let's go ahead and I'm gonna increase the settings to high. Alright, so we're at high settings now, and as you guys can see, even on high settings we're still at 100 FPS. So yeah, if you apply a little bit of FSR on this, like quality FSR, I think it's gonna start performing pretty good. Yeah, as you guys can see, 140 FPS. So you guys get the idea. This game is pretty easy to run for at least RX 6600, and you can get pretty consistent performance. I don't know about the other GPUs what it's gonna do, but right now I think it's pretty consistent to run on this GPU. Let's just start this field, and we're just at fast pace right now. The time is going fast. What is this? Okay, so let's just go ahead now, guys, and I'm gonna try to go to 1440p resolution, and I'll be right back with you. Alright guys, we are at 1440p resolution now. As you guys can see right here, 1440p full screen. FSR is currently enabled, which I'm gonna turn off, and specular shine is default. We are at 100% resolution scaling, and everything is towards the maximum. Frame rate is also unlocked. So as you guys can see now, the game is dropping to like 50 FPS, but 1440p resolution is already pretty intensive, and as you guys can see, the VRAM usage is at 6 gigabytes right now, which is already manageable for this GPU because it's got an 8 gigabyte VRAM buffer, 8 gigabyte VRAM. So yeah, it's pretty easy to run, and I would say that the game is performing pretty good. Now let's go ahead and just start counting the frames, and let's go and zoom out and try to view it from up here, and speed it up also because it's gonna have an impact on the CPU usage. I think no, it's still the same. Okay, it's 20% CPU usage. I think it's still GPU bound. So let's go ahead now and use FSR just for a little bit, and let's try to count the frames again. So with FSR at 1440p, the image kind of looks more sharper than 1080p because it's a higher base resolution, so it's gonna output the image pretty clearly now. And I think the image looks pretty consistent and pretty nice for the game to be able to be played on these settings. Okay, so if you guys want to play at 1440p, you can use ultra settings with FSR, and 60 FPS is pretty possible, although it's still dropping into the 50s most some of the times when you're zooming into stuff. Let's just try to go to this camera, and yeah, there's not much of a difference when you are in third-person camera and viewing the world from here. If you've created a lot of stuff, maybe it's gonna drop, but it's still, I don't think it's gonna drop from 50 FPS. It's gonna be pretty consistent. Okay, so let's go back, and yeah, let's try to drop the settings a little bit. Let's first turn off FSR, and I'm gonna go to high settings. Alright guys, this is high settings now, 1440p, everything on the high settings, and yeah, our native resolution is giving us like 70 FPS, which I was hoping it would get, because some people have got 75 Hz monitors, so it's gonna run pretty consistent on those monitors at these settings. Okay, so yeah, still the averages are coming out at 66. So let's just try to zoom somewhere where somebody's doing something. What's this lady doing? Yeah, so she's calling out people and telling them to come to meet her. Let's see if she can drag anybody to come, and you could have made the stall like here or somewhere else. Maybe she likes being close to somebody else, or maybe he likes being close to this girl. Okay, I don't know. Alright, so yeah, you guys get the idea. We're getting like 65 FPS average. Let's go ahead now and go to medium settings. Alright guys, medium settings now, native resolution, and the performance is kind of the same, or like in the 80s, I would say. Let's start counting the frames again, and the same thing. Let's just roam around here, try to zoom on this same lady again, and what is Madalena, what's she doing? I cannot zoom in more. Yeah, so what, I don't know what she's doing. She's just waiting for people to come. Alright, so I think you guys get the idea. Also 81 FPS average. Let's go to low settings now, and this is lowest settings possible on 1440p now, native resolution, and the graphics don't look very good, but the performance is pretty nice. It's 120 FPS. I think you guys know that these kind of games don't require you to have a lot of FPS, so it's gonna be pretty consistent for you guys if you guys want to play this game, which I think I recommend you guys, because I played the game. I played one round and it was pretty nice. I easily went to another area, killed the other boss or whatever, just destroyed them and got their area. So yeah, it has a lot of mechanics, but still I would say that there's a lot of room to develop for this game, and I hope the developers add a lot of stuff for this game. Okay, so it's 126 FPS average. Let's go to 4K resolution and let's see how this performs. Alrighty guys, we are at 4K resolution and no FSR, currently at 100% resolution, scaling everything to the lowest. Alright, this is lowest settings possible, and yeah, the performance is not more than 60 FPS most of the times. You can see that it's dropping like into the 50s a lot. So yeah, it's not very consistent. When we're gonna increase the settings, it's gonna drop a lot more. But I can say that at 4K resolution, everything looks pretty crisp, and also the game is pretty playable at 60 FPS. Don't get me wrong, it's just a strategy game, so it's gonna be the performance at 60 FPS is gonna be pretty good. Many people are gonna play it at close to 20 FPS, so they're not gonna complain. So who am I to complain about this? Okay, so let's go ahead and now increase the settings to medium, which I think medium is pretty nice spot for 4K. If we can apply some FSR, maybe we can get close to 60 FPS, but I knew already that it's not gonna perform close to 60 FPS most of the times. And yeah, as you guys can see, it's also going to the 30s. So let's just apply some FSR. Maybe at 4K FSR it's gonna run. It's gonna increase the performance a lot, and it's also gonna run pretty good. It's gonna look pretty good. Yeah, I think it does. I think it does look like native resolution. Yeah, I think it does look like close to native resolution. Let's look at this lady. What's she doing? She's still calling out people. Nobody's coming to her shop. Who's this guy? I don't know you. Who are you? So I cannot click on him. Maybe he's somebody else from another town. Alright, so getting like in the 40s and 50s most of the times, which is pretty consistent with FSR. Let's try to increase the settings to high now. I'm not gonna try without FSR because it's gonna run bad. I know. At high settings, it's also gonna drop lower than, I would say, 30 FPS. So we're gonna try with FSR at high settings, 4K resolution, high settings 4K, guys, and yeah, 45 FPS, pretty playable, I would say. So yeah, this GPU is capable of running this game at 4K resolution, I would say. Let's go to Ultra. Ultra is gonna struggle, I think, with FSR even, but we never know. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's in the 30s. I don't like to play games in the 30s, but for these kind of games, I think it's manageable, and many people would say that this frame rate is pretty consistent, and you guys can easily play the game on this on these settings, okay, at 4K resolution. Let's try to decrease our FSR quality to balanced. Let's see how it looks. I don't think it did increase the performance, guys. So I think we're at a threshold now, or we're at a tipping point now where just the performance is gonna stay the same. So let's go back and let's go to the performance setting. Yeah, it increased the performance a little bit, like 2 to 3 FPS. But I wouldn't say this is like native 4K now. So it's not good, okay? Let's try XeSS once. XeSS on quality. And XeSS on quality kind of looks the same as FSR on quality, I would say. Yeah, it does. But it's not performing pretty good because it's... I think with an Arc GPU is gonna perform better than this, which is a given, okay? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Maybe if you did, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.